Should you run the Home Assistant operating system, aka HAOS, on dedicated hardware or run it inside a virtual machine? In this video, we'll look at the practical trade-offs of both setups so you can decide which path is right for your smart home. First, let's briefly explain what we mean by these two approaches. With dedicated hardware, HAOS is installed directly on a physical device devoted entirely to your smart home, like a Home Assistant Green, Raspberry Pi, or a small mini PC. Once configured, the device behaves less like a computer and more like a dedicated smart home appliance. With the virtual machine approach, you run HAOS inside a virtualized environment hosted on another system, like Proxmox, ESXi, or Unrad. This allows HAOS to share physical hardware alongside your other applications and services. For many users, running HAOS on dedicated hardware is the shortest path to a working smart home, and for good reason. The biggest advantage here is simplicity. If you choose a dedicated appliance like the Home Assistant Green, the HAOS installation is either preloaded or very straightforward, removing the complexity of server virtualization. You plug it in, and HAOS manages the underlying operating system and hardware entirely behind the scenes. Maintenance is also incredibly simple. When a new update is released, you get a notification on your dashboard, click Update, and HAOS handles the rest, including operating system updates. Because running HAOS on dedicated hardware has fewer moving parts and a lower learning curve, it is a highly reliable choice, especially if you do not already run a home lab. However, if you already run a home server, running HAOS inside a virtual machine might look much more appealing. While this adds some infrastructure complexity, running HAOS as a VM gives you incredibly powerful advantages. The biggest benefit is snapshots and recovery. Before major updates or configuration changes, you can take a snapshot of HAOS VM. If something breaks, rolling back to a working state takes just a few clicks. Second, VMs make hardware migration and resource scaling highly flexible. If you need to upgrade your server, you can migrate the HAOS VM to a new host with minimal downtime. If you need more RAM or storage as your smart home grows, you can simply adjust the VM settings. Finally, it allows for better hardware utilization. Because HAOS is relatively lightweight, letting it share existing resources on a host server is highly efficient and saves you from powering yet another physical device. I've also tried running HAOS inside a virtual machine myself. Aside from the initial VM environment setup and network configuration being a bit tedious to get right, everything else worked out fine. So, how do you decide between the two? If your main goal is simplicity, running HAOS on dedicated hardware is an excellent path. It is ideal if you want a plug-and-play experience with minimal system administration. But if you already manage virtualization infrastructure, enjoy having full control over your hardware utilization, and want the safety net of VM snapshots, running HAOS in a virtual machine is a very compelling route. By the way, I've put together a document summarizing every video, link in the description. Let me know in the comments whether you're planning to run HAOS on dedicated hardware or inside a VM. As always, your likes and subscribes keep me going. Thanks for watching.